Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only turbo coin, ladies and gentlemen. Right, we can see we are 160th in the world. We're at 295 million market cap, 25 million volume in the last 24 hours. So it's been fairly slow, but as expected, from the Saturday to Sunday transition, and weekends in general are slower. Now, if we go here and we look at the holders before we dive into the technical analysis, ladies and gentlemen, we can actually see that we have been on the rise, right? We have been on the rise. We're currently at 55,264. We can see, right, this peak before we lost about 100 followers, or sorry, 100 holders was at 55,229. So already new all-time highs, which I am not surprised, right? And the crazy thing is, ladies and gentlemen, that means people are buying turbo when it's been dumping, right? Because we've been going up in holders actually the last few days. So what does it say? Well, people, they see a nice buying opportunity. And that is what we love to see, right? That's what we love to see. When a when a coin grows while it's dumping, it usually means, ladies and gentlemen, that people see it at a discount and not something like, oh no, this is a liability. They see it as a asset that's going on a discount, and they just pull the trigger. So that is what we love to see. So we can see that, in the last couple of weeks, we did break structure. We covered this, right? We expected things to go lower, which they did. And then ever since then, we're kind of like in this type of channel. We can see we rejected for multiple days. We said already Bitcoin was going to go down for like the last 2 weeks. So this was already expected. Then we crashed. Now, some people might think, oh, well, there's a pull up, right? There's a pull up that's going to be happening because there's some people that debate that say, hey, look, we have a bottom, we have a higher low, and then we have, a high here. But we can see already that the last 4 hour candle printed a lower high, right? I already know that we are going to be going lower because, ladies and gentlemen, right, to compare it to a very similar scenario, it is something like this. It is something like this. This is where we're at pretty much, right? We're somewhere right here, right? So some people think, oh, it's going to start pulling up. I believe we are going to sweep the bottoms, right? So I believe we are going to sweep this daily candle. The reason why I say this, ladies and gentlemen, is because I expect Bitcoin to be really manipulated over the next few days. Okay, I really do. Historically, right? Historically, every time, when we talk about the 91-day delay, every time, it says, okay, the 91 days is this candle, the next candle after that always manipulates it, always goes up, right? The line, it always goes up. Um, it sweeps the last weekly candle, and then it drops, right? The bottoms here, we have this candle that started off bearish, but then it ended very bullish, right? And again, the candle before that was the 91-day bottom, right? And then in the beginning, Monday, Tuesday, we went down, and then we recovered, and we went up thousands of dollars by the end of the week. So I expect the exact same thing, because the 91-day sell candle is going to be this one. So I expect these bottoms to be taken out. We're probably going to go down a couple thousand below. It would not surprise me if we hit like 100K or even 98K. And then we should be upwards of 112K by the end of the week. So what does that mean for Turbo? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I expect Turbo to dump. I expect Turbo to dump, right? I expect this weekly candle to get taken out. And then I expect some recoveries. Now, here's the deal, right? It would not surprise me if we, even just tap into this area. Yes, it's a very big area, but that's all the market makers need, right? Go below, tap into this box, technically good enough for a support and resistance tap in, right? Especially if we go to a monthly, right? Especially if we go to a monthly, as long as we technically tap in right over here at the end of this, of the end of this candle, at the edge of it, that's good enough for the retest. Now, I do think we probably will go to 0.00346 and then go up, but just because usually there's also a decent chance we tap the bodies, the bare minimum for the bodies. So yeah, but overall, I expect us to go down a little bit lower. But then the weeks after that should be very glorious, right? They really should. When we pull up the global liquidity index, we know that Turbo follows the global liquidity, right? When we take it, let's say to red, so go on the weekly, Right, I'm not going to go over all the examples again, but boom, look, 91 days, right? When the first pump happened, guess what? Boom, 91 days. Okay, and after that, yeah, sure, global liquidity has been going up, so we're going up slowly. Now we are suffering because of this dip in global liquidity. Boom, but then we can see, right? What this is the next week, this is 2 weeks after, and this is 3 weeks after. So maximum 3 weeks, we're probably going to be at 0.0085. Like it truly, I do think it's going to happen earlier. Most likely next week will be a big recovery, right? A very big recovery. So we're going to go from the bottom to somewhere up here, most likely. And then after that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go like this the week after, right? So overall, I expect very, very big price action and movement. And yeah, because we can see, right? Even from the bottom, right? The bottom one, two, on the third week, we pumped. Now, I'm not saying exactly we're going to pump in the third week. I think we're actually going to pump a little bit earlier, but we'll have to see. Overall, we are very, very bullish on this coin. On the higher time frame, we are officially bullish, right? Because if we even get rid of the drawings and everything, we can see that look, the bottom candle, right? Bottom candle over here is boom, the sell. This was the May candle. So it's a higher bottom, right? It's literally a higher bottom, right? This black candle over here closed here. This black candle closed here. So it's a higher bottom. So what I expect in June is, like I said, dip temporarily and for us to close higher, right? We most likely will sweep this area of 0.0065 and even go higher, probably tap into this monthly order block right here, which is perfect, lining up with support and resistance. So yeah, very, very simple. Very, very simple. Now let's go on Twitter and see what some people are saying, right? Steph is crypto. 63K. He expects road to $1. Now we're going to talk about in another video if we can actually hit $1 or if that's a little bit too crazy. We can see Turbo listing soon, please, at Robinhood. I mean, Robinhood is going to be missing out in so much money just in terms of pure volume, right? I know volume's low today, but generally we know Turbo has some of the best ratios for market cap and volume. So yeah, um, for them that's actually a loss. And yeah, so someone want some turbo. Damn, nice. So yeah, we can see overall a lot of support. Even if I go on the latest, right? This community is very, very active. Like very, very. 44 seconds ago, 2 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago. I mean, this is the same person, but they're still showing turbo. 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 9 minutes, 9 minutes, not 10, 10, 10. Like you see, sure, it's the same person for some of them, but it doesn't matter. That means people are spreading the word, spreading the word. And we can see decent likes, right? Decent likes. Only like 13 views, but 4 likes. So community is very, very tight. It's truly one of the best. So yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy. Now, talk to you guys next time. Goodbye. Portfolio reviews, economic and global updates and news, frequent up-to-date technical analysis, and a very supportive community. Sell and buy calls and trading education is provided. If that sounds good to you, now is the time to act. Once the markets start moving, there is no I should have, coulda, woulda. Now is the time. If you want to take things to another level, we have the blueprint that covers everything from A to Z in crypto that you need. No fluff, no bullshit, just the most important news, fundamentals, and technicals to have you succeed in these markets.